Welcome in, builders. This week we're taking a look at Late Age Xibalba, Return of the Zots. Xibalba is a vast realm of dark caverns beneath the forests of Mictlan. Living in the caverns were the Bat People, Zots, but that changed when the cavernous realm was struck by a great disaster. A star fell into the ocean, and a great deluge flooded the caves of Xibalba. The Zots were almost wiped out, and their realm was conquered by Atlantian refugees. For a long time, the Toad People ruled Xibalba and became powerful. Eventually, the Bakabob left the caverns to conquer the sunlit world. There they met Mictlan and the Lawgiver. The humans were more numerous, and while Xibalban Bakabob were mighty, they could not prevent the death of their kin. Slowly, the Xibalbans were decimated, and the Bakabob withdrew into the flooded city and fell into a centennial torpor. When the caves began to dry up, the Zots started to return in numbers, and in the still water-filled depths of Xibalba, the Zot priests found and unwittingly awoke the Bakabob. Now the Zots once more inhabit their ancestral home, but serve the divinities of subterranean waters and the awakening god. So we're back, baby. The bats are back. Is that a good thing? Well, let's just say the high watermark was in Middle Age in more ways than one. For national features, we are swarms of cheap, flying, stealthy cave dwellers. A few mooch toadmen remain. We prefer heat scales of +1. Our military is flying, stealthy, light infantry, and some amphibious, relatively light infantry. For magic, we're good at water, and we're alright at death, earth, blood, nature, and we have a smidgen of air. Our priests are powerful, and we can perform blood sacrifices. For scales and blesses, we have a sloth limit of +1 and a heat limit of +1. For buildings, we build, it says very primitive forts, but essentially we can do palisade and then fort, so one upgrade to it. It's not good, but at least we can do something to it. Cave forts have increased gold and resources and recruitment points by 10%. Overall, that's all okay. At least we have 2 command points out of our forts, so at least we can get normal mages that aren't slow to recruit. It's not stellar, though. For sites, we have 2. We have the Flooded City, allows our cap-only mage, and one of our sacreds gives us a water gem and an earth gem. And we have the Obsidian Cavern, which allows recruitment of 2 more of our cap sacreds and gives us 2 death gems. Overall, an okay income. Nothing stellar here. I wish we had a little bit of blood. That would sure be helpful. Units and sacreds. As for our unit lineup, it's kind of trash, and it's been trash since early era, and it hasn't really improved, if we're being honest here. Starting us off, we have our baddie boys, the Zots. We have the Zot Warrior. This can also be recruited in all forests and caves. The unfortunate thing here is this stone lance hits so weak because it's a flyer. His strength is only 7, so 9 piercing damage, and it just isn't going to do what you think it's going to do. The Zots themselves are cold-blooded, flying, have stealthy, forest survival, are blind. Blind means that we're not affected by blindness, eye loss, or darkness. And we have a minus to patrol bonus, but that's really to make up for the bonus we get from flying. If we look here, 0.8 patrol strength is actually pretty good for a unit. Overall, the lance with no armor, it's even a stone lance. It's not even bronze. It's just garbage in late age. Next, we have Zot Warrior, can be recruited in all forests and caves. This one has the Obsidian Club Sword. That's at least better. Again, basically the same trait line as our other Zot Warriors. I should also note 8 gold, 2 resources, 6 recruitment points. These are dirt cheap. You will be able to pour these out, and you'll probably have to because attrition is going to be ridiculous for Zots. That being said, the Obsidian Club Sword is actually an okay weapon. It's length 2. They have 10 attacks, so that's fine. And it does either slashing or blunt damage of 15. That's at least high enough damage to maybe be able to hurt people. No armor on this guy again, so you're gonna die if you get hit with your 7 HP. But at least we can hit something once maybe and get a kill before we die. Next, we have the Zots Dart Thrower. This has a mace and an obsidian dart, 8 gold, 2 resources, 6 recruitment point. The problem with darts is actually the ammunition count. They only have 4 ammunition, and it does 7 piercing damage. You're never going to get anything with that. So I think this guy's a bit of a failure. The only use I could really see here would be fire and keep distance. Maybe you could just draw some troops around, but they'd have to be exceptionally slow themselves because our range is only 7. So not a stellar troop there. Next, we have the Zot Guard, 2 varieties. First is the Stone Lance variety. It's the same as what we looked at before, but now they have a scale mail cuirass. Do note this is iron. I will say here, same problem as before. A 9 damage lance just isn't going to cut it. Even if you added, let's say, 4 damage, that's only 13. It's just not going to hit hard enough. Luckily, we do have the Zot Guard. This is actually okay. We have 10 protection on the body, 0 on the head. We have a obsidian club sword that we're actually good with. 11 attack isn't terrible. And we do 15 slashing or blunt damage. That's all right. This is my preferred recruit. Although jumping up to 6 resources means that it is much more expensive than the unarmored guys. Is that armor worthwhile? Probably. You might be able to take a hit with it. Generally speaking, I would get these guys over the unarmored ones. Maybe your mileage varies. Next, we have the Sakmuch Dart Thrower. Same problem as before. He has darts. At least his range is 12. He has 4 ammo. I don't like these guys. Again, that's just not good enough. He has a stone dagger that doesn't hit hard enough. He has a leather halberd that doesn't protect enough. He's just a sad froggy boy, unfortunately. I will note that at least for the Mooch, they are amphibians, so we can use them to get underwater. They also have swamp survival and dark vision. The amphibian is nice. Maybe we can jump into some ponds and just stay safe that way. So that's at least something. Sakmuch Warrior. This is the spear variety. Here, at least we hit for 15 piercing damage with our bronze spear. We have a bronze scale halberd and a hide shield. So this is a amphibious troop that isn't going to rust. He does hit 15. That's not ideal, but it's better than nothing. Has better than human stats. Do note, no helmet though. 10 gold, 10 resources, 9 recruitment points isn't terrible. They're a bit slow in combat. 10 morale is nothing amazing, but it's not misery either. I would get these guys if you think your length 3 is going to allow you to maybe get some repels to stay alive. If not, the Sakmuch Warrior with Obsidian Club Sword is probably the better way to go here. He has 10 attack for 16 slashing or blunt damage. Has the bronze scale halberd and a hide shield. Same stat line as the guy we looked at before. 10 gold, 11 resources, 9 recruitment points. It's fine. I think either one of these is all right. Like I said, if you think repels are going to help, the bronze spears are probably a little bit better. If not, the 16 damage of the obsidian club sword is probably better. So you have to kind of tailor this to what you think you're going to be fighting. Next, we have an obsidian warrior. This is our cap only sacred, 1 of 2. This one is a Zot version, 18 gold, 19 resources, 24 recruitment points. Pretty pricey for kind of weaker than human stats, although he's well trained with 13 attack and 11 defense. Good morale, some good magic resist. The obsidian cuirass is heavy, but it does give you 15 protection. Has an obsidian shard blade that's been blessed, so it is slashing magic damage for 19. 15 attack is also excellent. Most things will get hit by you when you swing. That's pretty good. Of course, they are sacred. They retain their fire resist from ages past. This used to be kind of like the sun guards who used to have sun, I believe, or could get it if you did Theft of the Sun. These do not have that, but at least we have a little resistance. We're cold-blooded. We're flying. We're forest survival. We're blind. We have the bad patrol bonus. Magic weapons is good. Good attack is decent. Length 2 isn't terrible in late age. A fine sacred, although likely to have pretty high attrition. I don't even know if you could really fix that, if I'm being honest. Maybe we stack invulnerability on it, or Stygian flesh. Maybe you try to stack some defense. I just don't know if that's worthwhile. Offensively, they're okay. Second cap only sacred, we have a Wumooch. This is actually my preferred sacred. I just like the big dumb frogs that hit things with a club. Well, I guess a blade in this case. 35 gold, 34 resources, 39 recruitment points, so they're not cheap. They have 26 HP, 16 strength, 11 attack, 12 defense. So they're pretty tough. They have really good morale. They have good magic resistance. Sacred Amphibian, Swamp Survival, Dark Vision. A 12 attack with a 23 magic slashing damage is quite nice. They have the same Obsidian Cuirass, and this one has a shield for a hide shield. Overall, these are pretty decent, weirdly enough. They like blesses, but they're okay if you don't have one. If we look at the troops that we've looked at so far, we are really struggling to see some troops that we are excited about. So generally speaking, our strategy is going to be hold the line while we attack, rear, and kill commanders and mages, and buy time for our mage line to do something. It's here. This line exists. We have 2 more units. We have the Lokham Warrior, which can be recruited in underwater forts. This guy has a net and a stone spear, has some shark skin armor. Nets aren't terrible. I wouldn't mind a group of these guys just to throw a few nets into things that you're fighting to help your troops just hit them. It's fine. Other than that, though, it's just kind of a utility piece. And we have the Lokham Warrior, again, underwater forts. This guy has a stone spear, shark skin armor, and a turtle shield. Again, these aren't good, but they exist. And at least we have something we can recruit. I think even the armored ichthyids are probably better than these guys, but we're guaranteed to get these. They do have better than human stats. They would really, really like some strength buffing, which we can do. We do have some Earth on the Nation. That would help all of our troops basically a lot to be able to buff that. So overall, they exist. That's about what I can say about these units. I think the standouts here, these guys are not good, but they're the usable troops we have. I do think the guards are okay. I do like both of our safeguards are fine. They kind of do different things. I prefer the Wolmooch, but the other guy, the Obsidian Warrior, also is all right. Nothing stellar, but he's okay. Heroes, Commanders, and Prophet. For heroes, we have Grandfather Earth. This is a interesting lie because he does bring in a path that we don't have other than maybe like a 10% on something, which is fire magic. He is a fire 2 mage, water 4, earth 4, holy 4. Quite nice there. Has amphibian, has fear 5, fire resistance, cold resistance, dark vision, has a resource bonus, affliction resistance. He's pretty interesting. I think it'd be fun to make him a thug, but he also is our only fire access, which is very, very valuable. I think that boosting this guy up to fire 3 and then he could summon in flame spirits could actually be kind of nice. Fire would allow us to diversify our magic a little bit. We're going to be in heat scales anyways, which is good for fire. Being able to buff the attack and morale fury line of spells is also kind of nice, but yeah, it exists. It exists. He's good. I'm excited when I get him. I just wish we had better access to some of the spells because I feel like throwing him into danger is really bad because I really want him to do fire stuff. Also, if he makes himself some earth boots, he could get up to earth 5 and be able to cast some globals for you, which could be kind of valuable. For commanders, most of ours are Zots, although not all. We start off with the Batab. He'll also be recruited in forests and caves. This is our basic leader. He has 75 leadership. Same Zots trait line that we've been seeing. Has a bronze hatchet, which doesn't hit hard enough in late age, and a scale mail cuirass and a hide shield. Overall, not stellar. Use him to do infrastructure, use him to move troops around, use him to do patrolling if you're blood hunting. He exists. Next, we have the Ajah. This is our better leader. 145 gold, 2 resources, 1 recruitment point. Is a priest level 1, sacred 1, same stat line as usual. His main claim to fame is he has 100 leadership, which is actually pretty handy. We would quite like that. Do note, not old age, but kind of getting close. I don't think he has to worry about it, but our next guy will. The Ajah Khan Ek. This is our better leader. He has 150 leadership. He's a priest level 2. However, he comes in at old age, which makes him even more fragile than our other Zots. He also is going commando and only wearing his crown. So that's a thing. It is nice that we have spammable priest level 2s that can be really useful depending on what we're fighting. Also, his better leadership does help our Zots out. Of note, I didn't really call it out too much, but a lot of these little guys only have 9 morale, which is pretty spooky. But the guards that I'm more likely to use have 11, which is a lot less scary. Next, we have the Aha. Can also be recruited in land and underwater forts. Aha is a good name for him because he is our most efficient researcher. 140 gold for 2 recruitment point, 1 resource, slightly better than human stats. He does 9 research for 56 gold a year, so quite efficient. However, he's water 1, earth 1, priest 1. Nothing I just said like makes me jump for joy. I guess underwater you could summon water power, which gets you up to 2. That exists. 3 is kind of where we'd like to be for water fighting. 3 is where we'd like to get to for earth stuff. So I'm not impressed with these guys particularly as mages. If you have a good script for them, let me know. I guess you could do some water buffing maybe. I don't know. I don't like these guys for that. They do have 20 magic leadership, which can be valuable. They have 10 normal leadership. Not much to say. This is our efficient researcher, but they're not particularly good combat mages, which sucks. It's always nice when you can pair up those 2 roles. Next, we have Itz. The Itz is a Death 1, Blood 1, and has a 100% chance to get Air, Earth, Death, or Blood. So you could get a Death 2, you could get a Blood 2, you could get some Air in there. All those are fine. Do note, not sacred. So he's going to be a lot more expensive. 132 gold a year for 11 research isn't good. He also, other than the normal traits, has Blood Searcher 1, so that he acts as if he's 1 blood level higher while searching for blood. I believe the goal would be to get to 3. I think that's kind of the cost efficiency break point, but these guys could get themselves to 2 and maybe 3, 25% of them. That's okay. Definitely going to be using these guys if you're looking to break into blood, which we probably do because, like we saw, our troop line is pretty garbo. Next, we have the Way. He does know the Way. Can also be recruited in all forests. As a non-sacred mage, that means we would only need a lab in a forest and we could be recruiting these guys. There are 200 gold, 1 resource, 2 recruitment points. They come in with Guaranteed Nature 2. That's a good pathing. That's plenty of good magic you can do with that. Blood 1, and a 10% chance to get Fire, Death, Nature, or Blood. The Fire is especially interesting, but it's only a 10%er, so you're unlikely to get it. 7 research for 160 gold is absolutely terrible. These ones can shapeshift into a Jaguar. That makes them a little more survivable. They'll take a bolt and die, but they won't. They'll turn into a Jaguar, so that's at least something. They have stealth and they are flying, so good for getting out and sight searching. They also have Blood Searcher, although a bit more pricey than our other dudes, so we'd probably look at using the other dudes for the blood hunting. A good mage, though. Nature 2 means Bark Skin. Eagle Eyes can help out some of your mages because we're going to struggle with our relatively low precision, like really low precision. Other buffs are fine there, although we could get to Nature 3 with a Thistle Nace. That doesn't really get us in range of things like Relief or Howl, unfortunately. Next, we have the Chilean. This one can also be recruited in all caves. This is a Earth 1, Death 1, Priest level 2, and 100% chance to get Water, Earth, or Death. So you can get 2 Death or 2 Earth. Those are really nice breakpoints for those 2 paths. You can do lots of good magic with that. If you get the water, that's kind of whatever. 11 research for 100 gold is efficient, although not as efficient as our other guy. Also has Fortune Teller 10, so if you did take some misfortune, or even if you didn't, a couple of these guys maybe could ward off against some bad events that you might otherwise get. Their main problem is their 250 gold, which is kind of pricey for what we're getting. Relatively unusable magic unless you hit one of the 2 good randoms. Overall, I think you do get some of these guys because we really would like to get a few Earth 2 casters. We're not going to be an Earth powerhouse, but just being able to do summon Earth power and then Strength of Giants before our flyers take off would help them an absolute ton. If we could get Decadent, maybe we could also give out some protection buffs, would really be appreciated by a lot of our troops. Next, we have the Camazot. This guy is a powerhouse in earlier ages, but now we're restricted to just the capital. He's an Earth 1, Death 2, Blood 1, and has a 100% chance of Air, Earth, Death, Blood. So you can hit some pretty high stuff. Death 3, Blood 2 would be both pretty nice. They come in at old age and they are Blood Searchers. These are fine. I would say. I think that using them to do some Horde of Skeletons would be their main use for me right at the beginning, just because we would really like to buy time for our mages to cast things, and Hordes of Skeletons is a great way to do that. Swarm also, for the ways, is another way just to buy time. Beyond that, though, he's fine. He's usable. I don't like his old age. We can't really afford a unaging bless or anything, which would fix that for him, but it's not really useful elsewise, and he's not that amazing of a mage. He's also competing with the Bakab, which is another cap only. He is slow to recruit, whereas the Camazot is not, so that is something of note. The Bakab is 685 gold. Very expensive. Slow to recruit. Good stat line, though. Also comes in guaranteed Water 3, Earth 2, Death 1, Priest level 3, and has a 110% chance to get Water, Earth, Death, Nature. So quite nice there. We get pretty high in all those paths. Being cap only slow to recruit, though, means you're only going to have so many of these. We would really like to get our capital on repeat recruitment of these guys as soon as possible to get them running. One thing that they would be relatively good at casting is being able to give quickness to our troops. I think quickness would actually help quite a bit because you'll be able to swing twice. You get some attack, you get some defense. I think that our troops are going to die so fast, they're not going to really need to worry about the fatigue that quickness kind of builds up normally. So I think that's one thing to do. On our Womooch Sacreds, we also could give them Liquid Body, which makes them really tough. And they are actually strong enough that the -4 strength doesn't really bother them too much. They're still going to be smacking fools just fine. That would really solid up our front line. Also another guaranteed Earth Mage, although much more expensive option. Still can do some death stuff, which can be valuable. They also have a resource bonus. You're not going to have enough of these guys that's going to matter too much, but it does exist. They also have Gift of Water Breathing, which will allow us to take troops underwater that normally couldn't. With 150 leadership, they're pretty good at that. They also notably have 50 magic leadership and 60 undead leadership, which is kind of nice. We're going to be probably looking at doing a lot of summoning of various stuff just to supplement our kind of trashy troops. So he can help with that. Also, he himself has some cold resistance. Overall, great mage. Really good. If nothing else, good water, so we could do some Falling Frost. We could do some water elemental summons if we need to go underwater. The Holy Threes is pretty nice. That allows us to spam whatever we ended up getting from our Bless. A very nice mage, although pricey and rare, unfortunately. Finally, we have the Lakam Hab Batab. This can be recruited in underwater forts. He's our leader. Unfortunately, he only has 50 leadership. Not much else to say there. You get him if you have to, but you're not excited about using him. Who would I make my prophet? Somebody. That's basically it. If you did make a Bakab your prophet, that would take him to a priest level 4, which lets you do fanaticism. And that would be nice just to give all of our bats the extra morale at the beginning of a fight. So that would be nice. I don't think I would wait to make one of these guys in because you're not going to be able to get one soon enough. But when your prophet dies, because you're probably using a Zot, this might be a good second prophet. Other than that, you start with a Batab. He's probably going to end up being your guy who gets prophetized. At least he has a shield and some armor, I guess. None of these are great. I guess the Bakab also gives you 274 gold back since it'll make his upkeep free. But yeah, this is going to be a high profit attrition. Maybe we will see a reoccurrence of a Carlos in this one. We'll see. That's a little unfortunate that we don't have some better profit material. Maybe even look at summoning something and making it your profit. That lineup is kind of that bad, unfortunately. National items and spells. As for national items, we have no national items. I will say that we can natively make Thistle Maces and Skull Staves. I think that would help us a lot, especially the Skull Staves, just to get some extra magic out. We could forge a little bit of gear to keep some of our mages safe, but I think we're going to spend a lot of gems into summoning other things. One thing of note I would say would be the Amulet of the Dead, simply because we may end up just using the enchant long dead summoning just to bolster our numbers, and that would make that more efficient. So just something to think about there. As for national spells, we have a long list, and a lot of them are at least castable, if of maybe some dubious use. Starting us off in Conjuration, we have quite a few here. We start with Summon Jaguar Toads. This is a sacred summon. I don't love Jaguar Toads. I think they're a little squishy for what you get, but it requires a Holy One, Nature One. Actually, I take that back. We can't natively do this because our way is not sacred. So I guess you could make a way your profit if you wanted to summon these guys. They are 2 nature gems and you get 3 of them. As usual, we'll look at all these guys once we're done just running through the list here. At 3, we have Summon Sacred Scorpion. Requires a Earth 1, Death 1 caster, which we can guarantee, and costs 2 Earth gems, and you get 1 of these guys. I do actually like these, weirdly enough. I think they are tough enough. They are sacred, so you get your bless, and they have some good attacks, actually. So I actually do like these. I think you might end up having to spam these a little bit to help you out in the early game, if nothing else. Also, Summon Jaguars, Nature 2 and Holy One. So again, maybe the way is the way of the prophet. 20 nature gems, though. We don't have native nature income, so you're not going to see a ton of these guys. Yeah, they may be useful. We already have dark vision stuff, though, so less interesting. More interesting, at Conjuration 4, for a Water 2 mage, we have Summon Jade Serpents. 3 water gems gets you 2 of these guys. I like these. These are standard bearers. They are big, chunky HP blobs. They have a okay attack, usable at least, and gives you something to dump water gems into that you may otherwise not really have a great use for if you're not summoning water elementals. Also, just of note while we're in here, I think something like Shade Beasts might not be your worst option for spending some of those death gems. You get 30 plus of them. They're spectral. They're hard to deal with without magic weapons. Just another thing to kind of bolster our lines with. Moving up to Conjuration 5, we have Summon Monster Toads. For 1 nature gem, you get 1 of them. Note, this one we don't require the sacred, so we're definitely able to do this. At 7, we have Summon Balam. This is a nature 4. Very hard for us to do. Costs 60 nature gems, but you get 1 of 4 different casters. They're pretty good. They can break us into some other pathing. That's doable with some work, at least. At Conjuration 8, we have Summon Chalk. This is, again, I believe there's 4 of them that you can get. It's 75 air gems. It requires an air 4. This is going to require a pretender if you want to go that route. Let's take a look at those before I forget to look at them. So our summons, starting us off, we have the Jaguars. They are sacred. They are stealthy. They're undisciplined. They're Jaguars. Not the biggest fan, if I'm being honest on that one. Next, oh, we don't have our poison toad dude. We have the monster toad. Okay, so my mod's missing one. The jaguar toads have poison skin. That's what they do. Not a lot to say about that one. Oh, never mind. Here we are, jaguar toad. So they are sacred. They have poison resistance. They are tramplers, and they are size 4. They have good poison skin, but no poison cloud or anything. They have a ranged spit. I'm not in love with those guys. Jade Serpent. I like these a lot. Sacred standard bearers. They are amphibians. 14 attack with 15 piercing damage, and it has a death poison that is 35 damage. That's not terrible. You can actually get kills with these guys, and 15 isn't quite high enough for the heaviest of troops, but anything but the heaviest of troops, you can probably hit them, and while you probably won't do too much damage with that, hopefully the poison will be able to finish them off. As I mentioned, good HP. Their protection's not miserable, but it's not stellar either, something maybe to consider. Good magic resist, good morale. I like these guys quite a bit. Sacred Scorpions. Again, I like these a lot. They are sacred. They have poison resist, wasteland survival, animal, dark vision, undisciplined. They have a good HP. They actually have good protection. They have untyped damage. This is really rare. There's not very many things that do this. Untyped damage means that if somebody has resistance to blunt, slashing, or piercing. You don't do any of those, so you would go straight through that. So these can actually be surprisingly killy against some troops, like a gelatinous cube, maybe, that otherwise are kind of hard to kill. These guys will slash through that pretty quickly. 2 good attacks with pincers, and they have a tail attack, which is good. It's a 17 piercing damage and has that same death poison. So pretty good little troop here, especially if you can give them a little bit of protection, and they'll be really, really hard for people to deal with, actually, especially if they're not getting heavy hitters and they're going more for attack density against your crappy troops. While we are here, let's also look at the Beast Bat. This is a free spawn from something that we're going to get out of Blood. They are sacred. Other than that, they have a crappy Venomous Feint attack. I don't actually like these that much in Late Age. And I think these are the Batons. So this is the air guy, another air guy, a fire guy, a death guy. They're fine, but again, are you going to get those with a air 4 requirement? Probably not. And here's the Baloms. So again, air, good blood on it, good nature. Again, we need to get to nature 4 to get these guys, though, so I don't know about that. And I'm going to spoil here, but in Blood, we're also going to have the Ozolol, which is a great demon sacred. They have 3 attacks, all have 13 attack and damages between 18 and 16 slashing. It holds up even in Late Age. Good HP. They are size 5, which is a little bit chonky, but that's okay. They're sacred demons, of course. Demons mean that we can give them Rush of Strength, so we can up that damage profile by 4 pretty easily. They're flying sacreds, which is great. And the Onakwi is a demon summoner. He free spawns in those bats right here if he's in your dominion. Is a great blood searcher, causes unrest, has death 2, nature 1, blood 3, priest level 1, and a 100% chance of fire, death, nature, blood. Very, very powerful, but you kind of have to choose between getting a few of these guys or getting Ozodals, both of which are probably pretty high in blood. So maybe you've got your blood searching empire going. A few of these guys would definitely help that. They also could break you into vampires or vampire lords, which would be very nice. I think vampires is definitely something we would want to consider, because that would actually give us an immortal troop that would help again with our troop problem. Okay, going back to our magic, let's do blood next, just because we were already talking about those. So we can summon in beast bats. These are pretty worthless. I wouldn't do it. We have a national spell called Break the First Soul. This is a blood spell that doesn't require a blood slave. If you hit somebody with this, it gives them a disease in AoE 1. Not stellar in most circumstances, but maybe against a thug or a god or something. It is magic resistance negate, so that's a little on the rough side. It's there, it's fine, it's utility. At Blood 3, we have Gift of the First Soul. This grants regeneration. That's a lot more interesting. That gives Blood 1 something it can do that's not terrible. We could give regeneration to our big sacreds, like the Scorpion or the Jade Serpents, or even our Wulmunch. Wouldn't mind having that. So I wish it was AoE 1 at least, but it gives them something to do if nothing else. At 4, for Blood 1, Fire 1, we have Bind Jaguar Fiends. Now note, we don't have this easy. This is a 10% chance. I think that there's something to be said about maybe designing a pretender that can do Reign of Jaguars, which is the improved version of this. If you don't design a pretender for this, you're gambling on a 10% is all I'm going to say. And these summon in slow because you only get 3 of them per cast. So I don't know on that one. I don't know on that one. At 7, we have the Contact Onakwi. That was the big demon bat guy. Pretty powerful. And then at 8, we have Reign of Jaguars. I think it's something to be said for making your pretender be able to cast this. Requires 6 blood and fire 2. For 40 slaves, you get 14 plus number of Azodals. That is quite nice. Very, very nice. I think if you set yourself up for late game summoning of these, that would be a great way to maybe be able to cinch a game if you can make it that long, that is. Next, in Thaumaturgy, we have several more national spells. Break the Third Soul is a air spell. We do have a few air ones, not a ton of them, but they do exist. This one allows you to hit somebody for 20 armor negating fatigue damage. That's fine. it's fine. Break the second soul. If you hit somebody with this, it gives them a limp. No save. Again, could be really nice against super combatants or thugs, just to be able to auto give them a limp. We also have Break the Fourth Soul. This is a death 1. This one allows us to, I believe this is a curse. Yeah, allows you to permanently curse the target. I do believe that there's no save on this. So we can auto limp and we can auto curse. That's pretty good and pretty spooky against thugs and gods. Gift of the Third Soul at Thaumaturgy 3. This one gives Reinvigoration 2. Gives you something for those air mages to do that's quite nice, actually. Although, again, they're very, very rare, so we're not going to have a ton of that. Gift of the Second Soul is an Earth 3 spell. Grants a blunt resistance. I guess if there's a situation where it's good, it's good. I don't know about that one. Gift of the Fourth Soul. This gift grants luck. It's fine. Again, I really, really wish that this was AoE 1. Then we could use this on like our bats before they fly in. But because it only hits one person, you're only going to get like 3 of these off in like your swarm of 100 bats. Who cares, frankly? That's a little disappointing to me. All right, that's it for our national spells. I will call out, I think we're definitely going to be looking at using some of those, but we also just need to supplement ourselves with other things. So Vinemen, maybe, Ogres could help us with the siege strength, although I think the Scorpions are good enough for that. Beyond those, if you do have some fire, maybe we could get the Flame Drakes. Possibly we could fly rear and then let the Flame Drakes shoot the front as just kind of a mutually assured destruction strategy. I don't know, could be useful here. I think the death stuff is another one. Shade Beast, I think, is prime amongst that. We could pretty reliably get to death 3, and we could kind of get to death 4. Ghosts, Specters, those could be really good. In Alteration, I think a big one here would be Swarm. This would be pretty spammable for us with our ways. And again, just putting bodies on the field to buy time. Barkskin would be much appreciated by our troops. And we can pretty easily get to Wooden Warriors with just a Thistle Mace or just spending 2 Nature Gems. So I do think that is something we would really, really strive for, just to give ourselves a little bit extra protection. Beyond that, we do have some Earth, so the regular Earth buffs do apply. We have Flying Troops, so we can't hit them with things like Earth Meld or Maws of the Earth, so that can be a nice little surprise. In Evocation, our main paths are Water, Nature, and Earth. So not the best, well, and Death. So not the best paths here, but usable. We could do some Rust Mist. Depending on which troops you're using, you may not have any iron on the field, so that would be something. Cold Blast, Cold Bolt, those are doable for us. Rain, if we are fighting a major firepower, definitely get Rain up. We can definitely cast that with our Bacobs. Beyond those, Shadow Blast is a very powerful spell. It does cost a gem, but it is really good. AoE 9+ for 8+ magic armor negating damage that you save for half. And you have to make a second save or you become paralyzed. That can be a winning spell against the right target. And we could spam a lot of death 2s on the field that could be able to pump this out. Also note, I believe that it doesn't affect undead. So if we're putting a whole bunch of whatever kind of undead, whether it's combat summons or just bringing other things to clog up the front, we don't have to worry about friendly fire on them, which is kind of nice. 5 also gives us Falling Frost. We're not going to have the most casters, but it is our easiest access to AoE damage, so may need that. Also of note, at 6, Cleansing Water is a very efficient anti-undead and demon spell. Very, very efficient. So if you have a Lemuria in your game, you may rush relatively early for this, and then it makes your Bacobs absolute machines at getting rid of those guys. Construction, we already spoke on that. Enchantment, I would say being able to buff or do a little healing for our sacreds could be kind of nice. Beyond that, though, not the best stuff here. Water-wise, Vile Water is the gelatinous cubes. Again, just looking to summon things in to buy us more time could be something that's pretty good. Clayman, also aren't the worst, although I think I would rather get Jade Spirits in this case. Friendly Currents, if we're fighting underwater, is a nice little buff spell. Quagmire, remember Quagmire, if you're fighting in a swamp, you get quite a lot of penalties. This happens for all swamps, by the way. But if you have swamp survival, or I believe if you're flying or floating, you're unaffected by this. So basically us, we are unaffected by this. And this would definitely help even things up for our troops and make it a little bit less against us in our combat. Thaumaturgy, the fear spells, both for the nature and the death, I think are pretty good here. I definitely would consider those. Sailor's Death gives 14 plus armor negating damage in AoE 1. Arbacobs can spam this quite fine. It's only 20 fatigue. It is a magic resistance negates, but that's not terrible for just deleting an entire square of troops. Curse of the Desert. It's a nice wide AoE, gives 2d8 extra fatigue per turn. So if you're fighting somebody who already has really high encumbrance, this can really put them to sleep quickly, and then allow our crappy troops to beat on them for a while, which may be our only path to victory there. Terror, a great fear spell, good area of effect. Normally it's hard to actually get those off, but we also have blood magic. And in blood magic, we can do blood rain. So let me zip through. I don't do tons of blood, so I just have to remind myself where we are. Bloodlust. This one here gives, I believe it's 4 strength to all demons. So if you are summoning up demons, this is a cheap way to give them +4 damage, which is excellent. We also would work our way into getting a blood fecundity caster, a way that has either a random or we just maybe boost him. For 10 slaves, this increases growth by +2. Great to get up in your main blood hunting provinces. Definitely worth considering. I would definitely think about getting somebody who can cast this for you. It's relatively cheap. By the time you can cast this, you'll probably just cast it once per province and just buff it to last the rest of the game. Bloodletting can be a pretty nasty one. Again, 4 blood's pretty hard for us to do, but we do have the bat dudes that we can summon in, or we could get into a Sabbath to do it. This is the entire battlefield, and it does 1 magic damage. I'll let your imaginations flow, but this is one of the things that scares people into having Berserk Sacreds. Beyond that, here's my Blood Rain at 6. Blood Rain gives a fear effect of Frighten 1 to, I believe it's only enemies. I don't think this affects our troops, although it does say everyone, so I don't think I've ever had problems with this. I don't know why I'm second guessing myself. If Blood Rain hits your own troops, let me know in the comments below. But even if it does, I would still consider this, and then set up the rest of your guys to be casting like Frighten and Panic to try to just win a morale battle there. Okay, let's bring all that together. We are a nation that needs a lot of research to get the spells that would actually help us win. We have the mages who can do it, but a lot of the low-level spells just aren't going to help us that much. We're going to need to spend a lot of gems on summoning in things to help us. I used to have a lot more here. I've been in a war with Femini, so a lot of attrition has happened. But we are using the Scorpions, we are using the Jade Serpents to just try to help get some damage out, to hold the line, to let my mages do some work. We have extras here. Yeah, here's another group that's coming in with even more of them. I've just been absolutely pumping these out because I got into an early war and I don't have the magic. Magic wise, like we just heard, we kind of need a lot of like level 5 or 6 spells to be good at anything. So we need to buy ourselves a lot of time to do research. Now, we don't have great infrastructure, but it's also cheap. So I do think you'd like to go spamming around. I got in that stupid war. They attacked me, but I would have loved to gotten another fort here and another fort here. I'm starting to do some blood hunting. I'm just getting into position here in this game. I definitely think we want to get started on that early because our blood stuff is kind of expensive. I think once you have something for your mages to cast, if you're in an okay place, I think you make the run up blood, especially if you design a pretender to take advantage of that. Pretenders and scales. Remember that we prefer heat scales of +1. We also have a sloth limit and a heat limit increase. For chassis, we don't have the greatest variety, although we have some all right ones. Starting in Dom 1, if you did want to try to branch out a little bit, maybe the Great Enchantress could help you do that. She is a gym Jinner and could bring in some glamour to the nation. Beyond that, the Sage could help us get that desperately needed research. We don't need the magic weapons either, so maybe we could kind of try to grab something different than what we normally would grab here. I don't know. We don't have good sacred mages, so I don't know. Maybe we could do something there. We don't have Astral in the nation, so if we wanted to go a big bless here, maybe Ethereal. Honestly, that would help both our flying guys and our Wolmotch sacreds be very deadly on that one. And people wouldn't really expect us to have Ethereal units, so that could be interesting. A very cheap option in the Serpent King. We do have a great Kamazat. He's 90 points, brings in Death and Blood. Maybe design him to do vampire summons could be a thing on that. Moving up to Dom 2, we are going to look at a worm build. I do think the worm would work. Beyond that, Hunbalam also is another chassis that can work. I would also call it the Draco Lich. I didn't build one, but for the Draco Lich, you would probably be looking at Reforming Flesh, which needs 6. Yeah, right there. So this would be your one of your better expander chassis. We can expand, but it just really depends on what indies are around us. And it can be exceptionally painful to get started if you're just surrounded by like a bunch of 60 cavemen or troglodyte provinces. This guy could be helpful for doing that. That being said, Reforming Flesh doesn't do anything for the nation. It's for him only. I don't love that. So he's not a chassis I particularly love. Moving up to Dom 3, we do have the Great Mother. Could be another option for an Awake Expander. Protection's only 6. I'm so nervous on that. Even with hard skin, you definitely go hard skin, like kind of Dave the Lion her. So we would go for this with hard skin. Something like that. That gives us 60 points. I'm going to make a build here for her. Okay, that's not as bad as I was thinking. You get a bunch of scales, or if we didn't go for the scales, how much is it for a fresh path? 60 points. I'm just thinking if there's something else. I think a fire shield would be what I would want to go with. And I do think I would try for that. Yeah, something. That's a very unfortunate amount of points left. Okay, something like that. That wouldn't be too terrible. So you would want to, yeah, she has 10% regen naturally. You'd want to go down enchant, and you're looking for being able to do personal regen and fire shield. With the hard skin bless, we also have 2 more points. I don't mind the fire resistance. I don't actually reinvigoration. She's gonna poop herself out with trampling. I think we'd go that route. You could 2 taste on that. This would actually be kind of interesting. So what's that going to take her to? 12, about 18 when we do personal iron skin. We're really going to want to rush. So I think I would probably go personal regen and fire shield, and then rush alteration. I think it's 4 for temper flesh and iron skin. She's going to be a little squishier than other ones might be, but good HP. You're definitely not going to want her outside of your own dominion at all, or she will die. But it could be something different. I don't hate these scales. This is Awake. That's not the worst thing ever. And in fact, Big Mama, we'll just throw her in there just in case people are super interested in her. Then we could possibly play that. It's been a while since I've used that chassis. Beyond her, I do think that the Teto Inan can be interesting. I've shown some builds on Mikland, and I think Xibalba with her before. Can do some stuff. I don't love these other ones, but if you have a bless in mind that their pathing is correct for, put them in as maybe dormant, and then they can wake up on year 1 and help save you from getting rushed. Moving up to Dom 4, I do like Crystal Soul. He's an Earth Glamour 2, does up our magic scales. He comes in with a sight that grants you a Glamour gem. So here again, I think you are looking at either a dormant or maybe even an imprisoned guy, with the thought of like, I'm going to wake up and do something with glamour at some point. Also, it brings some extra magic if you're trying to just really rush the magic research. Could be something there. Couple unique ones here. We have the Colossal Head and the Statue of the Bloody Mother. The Blood Fountain and the Oracle both could be pretty good. Let's take a look at a couple builds that I actually made here. Okay, first up is Drywell. This was my favorite of the bunch. Drywell is an imprisoned blood fountain. Comes in with larger, enchanted blood, blood surge, and hard skin. Yeah, we don't have hard skin until year 3, which sucks. Like, we would sure like that sooner. But having larger and enchanted blood and blood surge makes our Womuch Sacreds strong enough to be able to expand. The larger helps them out, just giving them just good stats, good chunky stats to their already good stat line. A little bit of regen and even more stats from Blood Surge. Remember, we also want to bless Scorpions, Sacred Serpents, Ozodals. This is a very good Ozodal bless, although the larger is not the best for them, but these two are really good for them. This is just a lot of efficient stat points with a big bonus of hard skin when he wakes up. Also, good pathing here. So Reign of Jaguars was the starting point for this, and that's why we took that pathing. And then we have just a smattering of other things. We can teleport if we have to. We have big nature, so we could do Mother Oak. We could do other nature things there. We have some glamour, so we could get some gnomes or something, get that in there. Lots of versatility here. Good crafting. Earthblood Deepwell is possible here. Forge of the Ancients is possible here. So just a big caster that's probably never going to leave your capital. And if you are behind on blood hunting, can do some big blood hunts. We're a blood hunter 9. You don't love blood hunting your capital, but it'll happen. We could summon in some of the big blood mages if we wanted to go that route, or just do Reigns of Jaguars. So I enjoyed this guy quite a bit. Good scales on him. We can kind of trash several of our scales. In fact, I think I could even go one more on Sloth if I wanted to really trash these down. I think that would even be viable. We could trade that in for some growth if you were so inclined. Next, we have Slick Pete. I've shown this guy or something similar before. His main thing is he's an amphibious awake expander. Comes in with Water 3 and Earth 6. The mountain survival is garbage, but there's really nothing else to spend his point on. You could move that to taste. He comes in with 23 protection. He self-buffs higher. He can do Breath of the Winter for himself. He naturally comes with regen and fear, double magic attacks. He can expand all right. Watch out for big crossbows and big knights until you have some of the more self-buffs, or he will die pretty quick. Next, we have Bad Cat. This one is a little different. This is Righteous Wrath and Blood Surge with, again, a hard skin. Hard skin just helps us a ton. He's a dormant. I don't like this guy. Again, I was just trying to give us some pathing that we struggle with and be able to do globals and rituals. I didn't love this guy, though. He comes out late, and the Righteous Wrath isn't the best. We don't have that. The Sacreds we're summoning, we don't really want them to die, which is kind of what you want Righteous Wrath to do. So a little on that part. In conclusion, Late Age Xibalba is relatively not as strong as their middle age counterpart, unfortunately, but they're not the worst of the worst. If you can survive and get the research that you need, you have several different avenues of magical attack. We're good at summoning in lots of units that maybe can just get the ball rolling for us. Like if somehow we could win against another nation and steal their gem income from their capital, that would help us a ton. If there's any thrones around, we can fight in the caves and underwater, and being able to grab any easy thrones that could give us new mages, give us extra gem income, just any bonus that we could get off of that. We have relatively cheap infrastructure. It's not the best, but it's not the worst either. So we can run around with that. We have lots of recruit anywhere bats. We have okay blood hunting. It's not stellar, but it's not the worst either, which blood kind of gives us a late game option. So overall, while Xibalba's not the strongest nation, at least we have some options. We have some game plans. We're good at what we're trying to do, even if what we're trying to do isn't the best. What would help us? We need to find things to buy time for our mages. Our front line is just, it's shallow, it's thin. It's not great. Our killingness on our troops isn't that great. So we're looking to solve those problems with magic and summons and maybe independence or whatever we can do to bolster that up. All right, if you enjoyed the return of the Baddie Boys, don't forget to leave a like on the video. That helps me a ton. If you are not currently subscribed, I hope I've earned your subscription. I'd love to see you in the comments or live in the chat. And if you want to go above and beyond to support the channel, you can always leave a super thanks, join me live for a super chat, check out the linked Patreon or the channel memberships here on YouTube. As a channel member, you get early access to videos I'm working on, usually pre-game videos, but it varies depending on what I'm working on. Also, I have a Discord that everyone's free to join, but if you are a Patreon or a member, you can link yourself in and get into the file channel where I have things like the Dominion Island maps that you can download and use for yourself. All right, Bat Boys, leave your comments down below. Tell me what other blesses you found are useful, or if there's anything I missed on that. Always love to hear the information before we go live on the stream. Otherwise, I'll catch you in the cave. Babble out.